There you are. Okay, I think we're in business.
Yeah.
So welcome everyone to exercise 7 of Conversations Across the Ditch with myself, Carrie in New Zealand, and lovely Kelly and O'Shea over in Tasmania. And today we are talking about Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins and Chapter 6, Mastering Your Mind, How to Your Brain. This, I have to say, this chapter was the one that made me think I have to read this to the end. I have to know everything inside of this book. This one got me excited because he actually starts to get really practical in terms of life, NLP, and how to use that to really start to program the brains to work for us instead of against us. Thoughts, Kelly?
For me, this chapter pushed me out of my comfort zone. It scared me. I'm not saying I didn't love it. I love it, but it really pushed me into what I am holding myself back from, what I'm not allowing myself to do. And again, for anyone that experiences anything like that, it is scary. But you know what? I love the chapter, and I love sharing it with you, Carrie.
I love sharing this with you too, Kelly. And I wanted to say that what I love about what you just shared there is that you leaned into your fear, you leaned into what you were kind of scared of, even though you didn't know what was possible. You didn't want to be on the side. And I think that's really a key point when we are in this coaching space. And for anyone who's looking at doing this personal development journey, we are transforming ourselves and we don't know who we're going to become. We haven't been that before. And so it's not go with the familiar, the things that have brought us uncertainty, because we know what it might be like to be depressed or angry or frustrated about things, but perhaps we don't know how to be at peace with certain things. Perhaps in a moment because we're used to thinking about all the crap that's gone on. So this is really powerful, and it's the next step from changing our physiology.
Absolutely.
We said in the previous chapter as well, this really gives us the foundation to kind of rocket forward into something new.
Well, absolutely, like I mentioned before, like this chapter that brought the fear out of me, but having read the chapters before, it helped push me forward because I've learned so much. Just so much from the chapters before and the key takeaways, and in just feeling the change that I want to have and the growth, and opening up, like you just mentioned, doors to accepting and acknowledging the different things that are within me, and especially up here. So yeah, no, really loving it, Carrie, really loving it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that like you say, when you read, there's so much in this chapter. Like when I was going back through it, I realized he shares something like, and I think there's more actually. I thought it was like maybe 4 techniques in this. I think when you got 4, 6, it might even be more than that because there's much in there as part of the whole listed out separately. So there's so much in this chapter. So what we want to do is go through some of the key elements for you, discussing what modalities are, just the way we form our representations of the world, talking about the submodalities, and an exercise that he explains on how they work and how we can use them to literally change our mind about it.
Oh yeah.
And then wrap at the end. How does that sit with you, Kelly?
I think that sounds great.
Cool.
No, I think that's great. Yeah.
Awesome. And we'll share some personal experiences along the way as
absolutely. Yeah.
I've got an epic one that she wants to share with you, and I've blown up and it's so exciting. So do stick around to hear that. So, mastering our mind. How about we talk about that for a moment, just before we get into the modalities, Kelly? Let's get really clear. Why bother mastering our mind?
Oh my goodness, like mastering your mind, like being in control. What goes on up there? I mean, if you're not, who is?
So
what
true.
is? And that's amazing, Carrie. So, learning these techniques that Tony is sharing throughout the book, and there's so many more to come, guys. And learning how to master your own mind. We're not talking about mastering someone else's. You know, that's a whole new kettle of fish. But mastering your own mind. That would be fun though, right, Carrie?
Absolutely. And that's an analogy, actually. Or two analogies that I'd like to share with you that might put this into some perspective. Like,
yeah, please.
Your computer just typing at random by itself. And then you go off and doing whatever it tells you to do. Would that work for you? Probably not. We want to be the ones typing on the keyboard and telling the computer what to do, right? Well, the computer's like our brain. So that kind of telling us what to do and we're just going ahead and doing it, well, how's life going to look in that kind of way? The other, and of course, there's the tail that wags the dog. Come across that one?
No, I haven't. Please share that one, Carrie.
The British phrase. So thinking about it, like normally the dog wags the tail, but if the tail's wagging the dog, that's kind of ridiculous, right? But the tail wagging the dog would be our brains running the rest of it. It's kind of like, when you think about it this way, it kind of seems a bit backwards. So we take control of our brain, start to have more choice about.
Absolutely.
So just being at the whim of the programs that have been put in there from what we've learned from social media, our friends, teachers, priests, people that we've given authority to. All those programs are in my mind, but if we're just reacting to that,
that's it, you know, and you know, again, you know, people, you know, your brain takes in so much without us really realizing what it's taking in. And so when it, you know, filters that out, like, I want to be in control of that. I really do.
Absolutely. Just being in control of what comes in, but how you respond to that.
Yeah.
People,
absolutely.
For the majority of people, what we do is we have these programs, and then something happens or trigger a thought pattern, which will trigger our physiology and our response or our behavior. And most of the time it's reaction. It's like a fire happens, you put it out. And you're running around like headless chicken before you can put the thing out without going. We're in control of our minds. It sets us up to be in a point where we can, instead of having to put things out, it's prevent those things from ever happening. So if we could choose and respond differently, wouldn't we choose the better of two, right? Instead of like better of two evils, or to fires out versus stopping them happening in the first place? It's like, you think about
absolutely.
that. You make sure there's nothing fire there. You would set up the space so that it was safe, versus not thinking about it and having something happen. You're like, oh, now the whole point.
Absolutely. Yeah, and learning how to deal with those things when they happen. You know, learning that, okay, this has happened. What am I going to do? How do I change this? You know, what are the techniques that I can use? Things like that. You know, because it's life, and that's what it's all about, isn't it, Carrie? Just learning the techniques to be the best you ever.
Absolutely, and giving yourself a way, because I found this throughout, that I've had lots of stuff in my tool belt and then not used it. And that's purely because they're still driving me. They're still sabotaging me and holding me back from wanting the better version of me coming out. And there can be all sorts of internal dialogue that happens with that. That's a whole other conversation really about listening, being mindful of that internal dialogue to be able to overcome that. So you go, actually, you know what? I want to feel better. I want to have more choice in my life, more than I just want to let myself be controlled by the programs I have in my head.
Absolutely, you know, and there's something that just came into my mind there, you know, that the saying, you know, think with your heart, not with your head, you know, and this conversation here, that is jumping in me like, oh my God, yeah, you know, because your heart is your core, it's you, and and anyway, I just wanted to jump that in there, Carrie.
I love it, and it reminds me, reminds me so much of one of my first, I'm going to call him a spiritual teacher. He's one of my first yoga teachers. He's been doing yoga for about 40 years. He did Kundalini yoga. And he always started every class talking about something relevant to spirituality. And one of the things he shared in one class was that the longest journey we'll ever take is the one from the head to our heart. It's so true. But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to take all of your life. But it does take.
And in connecting the two, right? Connecting the two and getting them on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that to happen.
Absolutely. And this helps. This stuff really helps. We can't wait.
It does.
Let's go on to the next part then. So what I'd like to talk about is our representations of the world. So in one of the previous chapters, we talked about how our state, which is made up of internal representation, physiology, and that leads to our behavior. So the internal representation, then, this really goes into that. It's what we see, hear, and feel. It's all smell and taste, but they're less. So it's our five senses. And these are called modalities in this case. And I'll speak with auditory, visual, and kinesthetic. So auditory is what we hear, visual is what we see, kinesthetic is what we feel. Would you like to add something to that, Kelly?
You know, like, I just want to add on here, you know, it is also possible to change around those. You may favor one, you know, you may be very much an auditory learner or a visualizing learner, but that will change depending on where you are as you're growing. And just an example that I'd like to share is when I was younger, I was always an auditory learner. But growing up, I'm losing my hearing. I'm deaf in my left ear and I'm going deaf in my right ear. So then I moved to very much a visual learner. You know, and no, I just want to share that you don't necessarily just have to be one. You know, and it can change depending on where you are. If you're at, like, for example, a rock concert, yeah, you're pretty much going to be an auditory learner because it's going to be dark. You're probably going to be in the midst of people jumping around. So you're going to really concentrate on your auditory for enjoying the moment. Yeah.
Actually, can I add something to that? Because
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm more of a kinesthetic. I feel the rhythm, and I tune into that to help me move because I dance, so I tune into that to help me form shapes, whatever does my body.
Yeah, and you know what?
Sound.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say that comes through in you, you know, because of what you do. You know, you use your tuning forks and your drum, and your it's just that suits you, that one, absolutely.
Thank you. appreciate that. So in terms then, with that, our internal representation. So in terms of, like Kelly was sharing, our internal representations come mostly down to those three elements: audio, auditory, visual, and kinesthetic. And like she says, well, you might primarily focus on one. One might be a favorite one for you, and then the other two might be minor. But it's how we, it's like the ingredients of a cake. It's how we combine the experience within. We've got submodalities underneath those, which we'll go into in a moment. How we combine the ingredients of each of those to combine to create that representation. How this is all made. So I think it'll make more sense when we start talking about the submodalities. So, you want to delve into that one? What they are?
No, I think you should do that one, Carrie.
Okay, cool. That's all good. I just feel like I don't want to talk. I don't want to take all the talk time. So we've actually got in the book, we've got a checklist of all the submodalities under each modality. So the way I like to think of this, if you like, and I share this analogy with Kelly, and she likes it, so I'll share it here as well. So if you imagine that your big modalities are like the big components in a cake. So for example, you'll have your dry ingredients and your wet ingredients. So the dry and the wet, there'll be modalities. Then under that, you'll have your submodalities, which will be things like your flour, your nuts and seeds, sugar, yeast, baking soda. I don't know. Get the idea. Not in the cake. Baking soda. How often? Cake. So anyway, I'm just thinking of all the dry ingredients, okay? And then in your wet stuff, you might have things like egg. You can help me out. Milk.
Water. You have water. Yeah, you have oil. Yeah.
Fun, thank you. So I did better before we talked, didn't we?
Yeah. That's okay. Yeah.
Cool. So you get the idea. So those would be like your submodalities, and so visual would be things like when you're representing something to yourself. Is it still, or is the image moving? Is it black and white, or is it color? Is it panoramic, or is it just taking up your vision? Is it near or far? Those are just some of the. For auditory, is it loud or is it quiet? Is there interruptions in the sound or is it rhythmic? Is it what's the inflection like if it's wood? What's the tempo? What's the tonality? Is it smooth?
Yeah.
Is it light? So these are those are your just some examples of the submodalities. And you can imagine that not that for a particular representation you might have more of some than others. And that's where you've got your ingredients to make your cake.
Absolutely. I love that. And
in the next chapter, he actually talks about the method. We're not going to go into that. But that's the next. Really exciting.
It is very exciting.
Would you like to? What he does beautifully in here is he shares how we represent things. Would you like to go through that, Kelly, or would you like me to do that?
I guess I'll touch on it, of course. So these modalities, or the grouping of the some modalities that Carrie just talked about, are the way in which we form our internal representation of things, and Carrie talked about the cake and how they all combine together, and I just love that, and I love that, and knowing that they all work together to create the outcome or the cake that we want. I just love that. I love that a lot. you know, and as human beings, you know, we wanna change something. You know, we always want to change something, and we usually want to either change one specific thing or everything. You know, we're very, you know, very much like that, aren't we, Carrie? And that can come down to we want to change how we feel. You know, if we're in a situation and we just don't like, so we want to change how we feel. You know, so then in that state, like in the other chapter talking about, we want to change our state and how we are and how we behave and just understanding that these modalities and these major modalities are combined and make up who we are. It really makes it easy or easier, not easy. Nothing is easy, right, Carrie? To work through our understanding of situations and where things are coming from and how to change by focusing on one more than the other or changing how we're seeing it, how we're feeling it, how we're hearing it. You know, it having the knowledge and the understanding of being in control of that blows my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, awesome sharing there, Kelly. I love what you shared about being able to change, have that choice, and how we want to change something in our environment. Often we look to the external to change. Oh, I don't like what that person does. Change.
Yeah.
I'll be when they've changed. I don't like my job. I'll be happy when I've got another one. Or it might be, I'm not happy with my house. I'll be happy when I've moved. Who knows?
Yeah.
We often look external to make us happy, have that change. What we're going to learn here is how we represent that thing that isn't making us happy into something where actually it has no power anymore and gives the ability to shift focus and take more resourceful action because something's bothering you because at the end of the day it's actually I want to share that quote that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
There's either good or bad.
And that
Really, yeah.
it is, isn't it? You know, and if you know, like I'm going to repeat it because it's just worth repeating. You know, there is nothing that is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So how many of our listeners and people on our page are now like, wow, you know, like, oh my goodness, like, yeah, I've created that, or I'm the one that looked at that situation like that. Yeah, you know, and yeah, that I love that quote. William Shakespeare was very wise, wasn't he?
He was very wise. He wrote some great quotes.
Yeah, he did. He did.
So let's give this a try. So
Okay.
if you could just take a moment. So if you've got this recording, just pause it for a moment and find yourself somewhere quiet and just sit, just for a few moments, just to allow yourself to start to experience what these modalities and submodalities are like. How you actually visualize or experience a memory of something that was pleasant. Okay, so pause this right now, go find yourself somewhere to sit, and then when you're back, we'll keep going. Okay, so pause it, and then we'll get going when you come back. Okay, assuming you found somewhere nice to sit, let you just gently close your eyes.
Okay, I'm gonna do this as you want me to do it.
Awesome. So gently close your eyes. Take a couple of nice deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. One more. Remember a recent pleasant experience you've had. I'd like you to actually step into that experience. See what you saw through your own eyes. The event, images, colors, brightness, and so on. And I'd like you to hear what you heard. The voices, sounds, and so on. Feel what you felt. Your emotions, temperature, vibration, movement, weight and intensity. Experience what that's like. Now step out of your body and feel yourself stepping away from the situation, but from a place where you can still see yourself over there in the experience. Imagine the experience as if you were watching yourself in a movie. What's the difference in your feelings? In which were the feelings most intense? The first example or the second? So when you're ready, coming back. I'd love to share if you would share your experience there, Carrie.
Wow, that. Oh, yeah, I've done it several times, and when, and that in association and disassociation, taking yourself out of the experience and looking back, it, yeah, you're changing it, aren't you? Like, you're putting yourself in and you're taking yourself out, and everything that you see or hear or you think you see and you think you heard the first time changes the second time.
So what way
I think, the first time for me when I just did that again with you, I was visualizing butterflies and I was hearing the butterflies. And then when I stepped out of it, I was focused more on seeing the butterflies. I wasn't necessarily hearing them, not that they're loud, but I was focused more on the colors, the way they were flying, where they were flying. And yeah, and a part of me actually wanted to go back in and be with them so that I could hear them again. Yeah.
What I'm hearing, those of those experiences for you are actually both quite intense.
Yeah. They were.
Let me ask you this though. In terms of, but at the same time, what I'm also hearing is that the feeling for you was perhaps more intense than, say, the visual part of it. Like you wanted to go back and be visual. So
yeah.
of doing this exercise is to see the difference in that submodality of shape. The moment you're seeing it from with your own eyes versus seeing it from as an observer. Even though both experiences are intense, it seems like the one where you're in the body and you were seeing with your own eyes is still more intense than the one where you're looking at yourself. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And yeah, it was, yeah, I'm not sure why, but yeah, no, well, I get, the experiencing it rather than, because I did that first, and then stepping out, I kind of realized, well, hang on, I kind of like experiencing it, and I want to go back in. Then
Yeah,
yeah, no,
yeah,
yeah,
and that's
it's
it.
amazing.
Yeah, that's perfect that you shared that, because that's exactly what this modality does. Because think about it, if you're in an intense negative frame of mind or experience, that you're in it and it's intense. If you're able to disassociate yourself and become the observer of what you're
Yeah,
experiencing, that's different. It's less powerful.
no, it is. Yeah.
Or intensifying.
And you see it differently, and you start understanding it from a different perspective. And
Yeah,
that is just, becoming or learning the skill that I'm still learning, these skills of being able to do that. It changes everything, and it allows the moment, the situation for you to have control. And that really is what this is all about. It's about being in control of your mind and your thoughts and your emotions and your feelings, because that changes everything.
yeah,
When you have that control and you take responsibility. Mm.
absolutely. I think it's important actually. I'm noticing even with my language now, I'm tempted to say it's hard, it takes time, it's challenging. And I'm realizing actually these words in themselves are actually not that helpful. It's like actually we'd better say, you know what? It's as quick and easy as you making a decision to actually just go ahead and do it. It's
Exactly.
actually
Yeah.
that quick and easy. All it takes is for you to decide that actually I don't want to think this way anymore, and that actually I can go ahead and use this technique and I'll feel better. Done.
Mm.
It's that quick and easy.
I know. Yeah.
It just needs you to make that decision and choice and take the action.
Mm. 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 Absolutely. I was listening to a podcast the other day, Carrie, and the lady was talking about something called the 5-second rule. I don't know if you've heard about it, but
Yeah.
apparently we have a 5-second frame where we can change our thinking, change something before our mind takes over and starts old habits. 5 seconds. That's not a lot, but in that 5 seconds, you can change so much.
I don't know
I
about
just,
that. When you're doing a workout, 5 seconds is a long
oh,
time.
it is, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I want you to hold that for 5 seconds. Yeah, yeah. I get it. I understand.
So you're holding it for 5 seconds is also a very long time.
It
So it's
is.
all relative. All relative. Um, you think, we can, our intention can move quickly in 5 seconds.
Mm, they
Yeah,
can. They can. Yeah. And, in no way, shape, or form do I want our listeners or people on our page to think that I'm saying that our brain is against us. It's not against us, but it's going with what's familiar, what's safe, what I've always done, and I guess like the ego and the self-sabotaging, it's not there to hurt you. It's there because it's your comfort zone, and it's where it knows that you're safe. But every now and then we just need to, give it a shot. We need to acknowledge it, and we need to say, you know what, I've got this, and I'm about to change in 5 seconds, so get ready.
absolutely. I remember T. Harv Eker sharing this on one of his webinars once, and the image kind of it's just stayed in my mind. So you can imagine a ship out at sea, and it's one of those sailing ships, right? So it's got a big mast. At the top, it's got the crow's nest, and the lookout is kind of like, oh, there's a rock over here. Oh, there's a big wave over there. Oh, there's a shark over there. It's like going all over the place, right? If you can imagine that person right at the helm, And it's actually turning the ship this way and that as a right course. That's kind of like what our mind does. It's looking for all of the issues, all of the problems, and it's just wanting to keep you safe. So it's dragging you this way and that to avoid. And that's the kind of the putting out the fires kind of analogy. But you see, you are the captain of your ship, and it's up to you to say, hey, I appreciate how you've been trying to keep me safe, but you know what? I can take hold of it. I can take care of it.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then you choose where you want to go and how you want to get there. We don't have to have a life full of drama. It can be, if there's concern, drama will still happen. There will still be storms. But we can choose how we navigate them. We can choose to go around them. We choose if we're going to go through it, a better course. We don't have to go right into the middle and get torn up.
Absolutely. And that's empowering. That's so empowering. And the thing is, you know, our brain, it works with us because then it realizes, oh, Carrie is able to steer the ship. Carrie knows what she's doing. So I'll let go of those things that I thought she needed, and I'm going to take these new ones on board. You know, so it works with us. We just need to have the courage and the knowledge and being able to stretch ourselves to change that thinking. And our brain will just, they'll move with us, won't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I want to just, first of all, acknowledge you for just doing that little exercise with us, which didn't take very long at all. And what's the benefit of knowing about this? What the benefit of knowing this is that you just share this later in the chat. So if you can use these submodalities. So for instance, if you would take a negative experience and experience that with all of its modalities in terms of how bright it is, whether it's still moving and such like, but then you were to replace that with all those beautiful modalities that you experienced when you were in a good, positive situation, and you swap them over, then you basically reprogram your brain to associate something positive, something with negative. Or take, say, like you were sharing, when you were in that moment, it was intense and it was, you know, you could really feel everything. If that was a negative experience and you're having that, well, you know that you can even just dissociate yourself from it. That's going to change it. Just that one submodality alone, you can change it. But if you can imagine even making the image smaller, you can turn them down. These things, you know, if it feels rough and spiky, you could make it soft and smooth. You did all that. And that negative, powerful, intense, associated representation then becomes something that's not.
It does. Yeah.
You can use them to change, you can replace them. And I think that's really important. And I'm just aware of the time here, but I think we don't really have time to go through that whole exercise, but it is in the group. And I highly recommend you listen to the whole chapter. There's like 6 recordings in the chapter because there's so much. And I highly recommend that. Delving into that. With the checklist and everything. I highly recommend going and exploring that. Is there anything to add to that, Kelly?
You know, just on the topic of associated dissociation, and you know, I know we're watching our time, but can I just quickly share an experience that I had?
Yes, please do.
No. So, you know, as coaches, we also have coaches. You know, we're humans, we need coaches as well. And I had an issue that I was struggling with, and I was focusing on that, and I was really struggling. So, in one of my coaching sessions, my coach said to me, all right, well, tell me about that. So he asked me about the color it was. It was a dark color. What did it feel like? It was painful. Okay. So now I just want you to push that aside for a moment. Tell me about things that you love. And, you know, butterflies. I love butterflies. ice cream. I love ice cream. What color are they? You know, and then he got me focusing on the color, the taste. And each time he like bring those into the image. And each time he did that, that black, that pain, that negative was getting pushed further and further out of my mind, further and further, without me even knowing it. Because I was concentrating on all this beautiful stuff that I love, stuff that made me feel good. And then we did this, you know, a couple of minutes, and we did it. And then he said to me, so can you tell me again what was the thing that you wanted to talk about? And seriously, Carrie, I don't know. To this day, I don't know what it was.
I love that you share that.
Seriously, it's hard. And that is a good example of being able to acknowledge the pain or the bad situation, you know, give it a color, give it the feeling, give it a taste if you want to. Maybe you don't like Brussels sprouts, I don't know. And then, you know, just pushing it a little bit back and then filling the space with things that you love, colors that you love. Feel it completely. And each time without knowing it, you're pushing that negativity back. You're pushing it away to the moment when your brain and your everything is full of that positive, that stuff that makes you happy. It's full of it. But to this day, I don't know what it was. So I don't know. But yeah, you know, this whole association and disassociation, guys, it works. It really works. When you allow yourself to step in and step out without feeling silly, it works. It really does. Because your brain, it will do what you tell it to do. And when you change that focus, change that mindset, it's absolutely empowering and absolutely beautiful. It is.
It is. I love how you tell that story because you can see the excitement when you talk about these things. And that's really important when we're doing this work. Really feel, or really, not so much feel because your submodalities or your modalities might be different. So experience, to really bring the experience, making the experience as intense as possible for you with the submodalities and modalities that you are good for you. And there's no right or wrong. It's like, and there's nothing, and you don't worry about what makes sense or what you think it should be. It's not about that. It's just about what filing system is your brain using. And I remember when I first had this kind of work done with me, I think I took a little while to think, well, what is this? I don't really understand. And to me, say the first thing that comes to mind. Don't worry about the right or wrong. Just let your mouth move. Whatever comes up, that'll be it. Don't have to think. It's not a thinking game. It's just it's a bit of intuition. Sometimes you might not have a clear sense of visual or one of the modalities. That's okay. If there is no sound, there is no sound. If there is no feeling, there is no feeling. If there is there's no visual, and that's okay too. And I've had times where it's been like that, and it's like, what does it sound like? It's like I doesn't have no time. It's okay, just move to the next one, and that's okay, perfectly okay too.
Absolutely, you know, and I thank you for you know concentrating and bringing that up, because in no way, shape, or form you know, if you're unable to do that, don't feel negative about yourself or don't feel that you're doing something wrong. You're not. You know, as Carrie says, it's okay. It's okay. Not everyone is able to do that. It takes a lot of work, and yeah, it's fun though. It really is fun.
I'm gonna say maybe it might take a bit of practice. I say it was more likely to feel unfamiliar at first because the wording might be familiar. It might be the first time you've ever sat down and really thought about it. as children, I think we very naturally, at least for me, I can't speak for everyone, but for me, I found it really easy to imagine stuff. I used to find it really easy to visualize, to hear. Um, Feeling, I don't think it was easy for me to feel stuff. I'm not sure about that, but definitely hearing and visual, yes.
Yeah.
Visually, especially actually thinking about it. That was when I was a kid. So I think if you think about when you were a kid, what you might find that back then, because you had no limits, you had no preconceived ideas, you weren't as sort of pushed down in your creativity, you might have found it easier back then to access these modalities.
Oh, absolutely.
So know that this is within you. And somewhere it is within you, and it is possible to access. I will say that sometimes for me, I find it kind of, I'm going to use the word challenging, or not challenging. Sometimes I struggle to associate a modality with things, or it might always. I find that sometimes I can't make something intense. It stays dim. It's okay. It's like if it's not happening the way you think it should, be okay with that. Like Shakespeare correctly said, nothing is good or bad unless we think it. So it's just okay, where I'm at right now. Let it go. Come back. That's just where it is in this moment. It doesn't mean that it's going to be like that. Something that Tony Robbins says a lot through his books: nothing is permanent. We can change. Always changing.
Yeah.
On a physiological perspective alone, we're changing all the time. Our body chemistry is constantly shifting. When we're not staying.
No. And that's exciting.
It is. It opens up so much more in the way of possibilities, doesn't it?
I know, absolutely. And I guess, Carrie, that it is also all about allowing ourselves to experience that change. You know, allowing ourselves to stretch, to grow, and not subconsciously sabotaging by blocking this learning. You know, yeah. I think that's really important, and that's something that I've definitely learned on my journey as a coach. You know, learning that it's all about allowing yourself to try it, to experience it. Like Carrie said, it may not work at that moment. That's okay. You've tried it. You'll try it again later. It's fine. It's there to happen, to be learned, whenever you're ready. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I want to come back to a point that you made as well about self-sabotage. And one of the things I'm still working with is some very deep limiting beliefs. Still, I think I've dealt with them. It's like, actually, have I really? So being aware of your limiting beliefs and really getting to know them and reminding yourself of the beliefs that you want to have. And one of the things I keep coming back to is I'm not the exception. And I love that Kelly shares her experiences. It's kind of like, okay, no, she can do this. Damn it, so can I. I'm not the exception. I can change. These can work for me. They can work for me too. You know? And vice versa. If they work for me too. We're not the exception. We're all human. We have the same physiology. We have the same, our brains are all wired in the same way. There's no, well, you know, they're wired. Not wired in the same way.
Yeah,
you know,
no.
they work in the same way.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And these ways are not unique. So we are totally able to change. And having that belief and really sitting strongly in that belief and going, you know what? Tony said, does this work for lots of people? Then I can be one of those lots of people.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, like, I mean, how empowering, I'm going to put my hand, I want to be one of those people. You know, I want to be one of those people that was able to make the change. Yeah. And I'm just, everything we talk about every week is so empowering.
I think so. And can I, if I add to what I said, because something else came up and I said that, and that's about needs. And I realized if we can meet our needs in empowering ways or disempowering ways. And one of our needs is to feel special. So we can choose to either feel special by being an exception, well, we think we're an exception that doesn't have the success that they want. Or we can be special in the sense that we have the success and we live the life that we really want to live and create beautiful that into the world. It's like, what makes you feel more special? It might be that. It could be that you want certainty, you know the familiar, you want to stick to that. It could be that too. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Those are the two that spring to mind. Because it's certainty versus variety, or it's uniqueness versus relatability and connection. But I think in this case, if you're leaning towards wanting to be the exception, you're really looking to be special in some way. That's my personal opinion. That might be wrong. It might be different. It might give you more connection with someone. But think about it in a sense that, okay, what do I get out of it? And is that serving me? And if it's not, change it. You have that power. Believe that you have that.
That is it, you know, and I mean, a lot of people, you know, when you say, is that serving me? I guess that sounds like, you know, serving dinner or something. But I guess, you know, it's a term that we use in coaching because, you know, when we say, is that serving you? Well, is it feeding you everything you need to grow, to be the person you want to be? And if it's not doing that, then maybe you need to question it. You know, why are you doing it? Or, you know, and then that's what we mean when we say, is it serving you? You know, I guess it is, you know, is it feeding your goals to want to change? Is it allowing you to grow? Is it giving you the grit you need? Is it challenging you? And it's definitely a term that I've been using a lot, and people are just used to me saying, no, is that serving you? No.
Yes, I love it. I love the way you put that, Kelly, actually. It's about, is it nourishing you, nurturing you? Is it bringing you what you need in order to have whatever it is that you want? You've got to meet have the life that you desire, have the relationships that you desire. I love that. Is it feeding it? Is it bringing all that into it? And if it's not, like that's the thing, right? And Lisa Nichols shares this too. Like, right, we can choose. We can have our thoughts. Could be a bit like food. So we can either choose to have, and if something smells bad and looks bad, are we going to put it in our mouth?
Yeah.
But if it's something that looks good and smells good, you wouldn't put it, would you? So it's like, well, if you've got thoughts that are really just looking like crap, you want to get rid of them as quickly as possible. And she calls it hard at your mind. So looking at what's coming in, it's like, is this going to be no? Cool, let it go. Think of it like food. Is it good food? Is it nice food? Is it something I want to taste? No. Go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know, and but in the same sense, if you're open to learning or having a new taste, then that's okay too. But if you don't like it, then why hold on to it? Why try it again? If you don't like it, why go and buy it from the supermarket if you didn't like it the first time? You know, so yeah, it all falls into place, doesn't it, Carrie?
Absolutely. Is there any? I feel like it's probably about time to wrap up now. Is there anything you'd like to say to close out?
I just wanna thank you, Carrie, for being on this journey with me. You know, opening up my thoughts and my growth and stretching me so much. You know, like I can't even imagine this time last year even thinking about getting on a live camera and then putting it for other people to see. But you've created this space that has changed my form of thinking. You know, so I guess it's like I'm from wanting to disassociate myself from it to associate myself with it because it makes me happy and it makes me think of ice cream.
I love it. And I want to thank you for being on this journey with me too, because without you, I would not be here either. And you bring such playfulness and energy and fun, because I'm pretty serious too much of the time. And I love that you bring this beautiful energy and how we complement each other. Like I get that you perhaps don't, and vice versa. And I love how we each bring something to this. And I hope that that shows through to our listeners and that you get a lot out of it too.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
All about the people who are listening in and putting information. So Tony Robbins is our basis because he's so knowledgeable. He's got like 40 years of knowledge. And then we're bringing in our own unique sort of flavor to it as well. So you get a little bit more through these recordings, I hope, and a little bit more insight perhaps.
Absolutely.
That's the hope. So, like I said before, if you would like to join us, you get these videos. We put these in as soon as I can after we've recorded them into the Facebook group. And we post, obviously, a post podcast a week later. So if you want to get this sooner rather than later, do join us in the group. You have access to all of the recordings from the book. You have access to PDFs, PDF downloads, excerpts from the book, like the sort of modality checklist. So if you want all of that and an amazing community and Callie's beautiful posts that are ultimately inspiring and really pull out some of the key points made throughout the chapters, do join us. The group URL is www.facebook.com/groups/empowering you book club. Forward to seeing you there.
Absolutely, yeah. Please come and join us. It is a safe space, and there's no wrong answers at all. We don't, we want feedback, and we want people to share what they're getting, not just from the podcast, but from the book. And in the page you might have both Carrie and I, both passionate coaches, from over in New Zealand and here in Tasmania. So yes, and please come and join us and interact and it's beautiful. I love it.
Absolutely. Let it stretch you a little bit if you're open to it.
Absolutely.
So, no wrong answers, there's only answers, there's only questions, there aren't any stupid questions.
Absolutely, no question. And that's something I'm learning. There's no such thing as a stupid question. No, not at all. Not at all.
No, and I can't remember the exact quote, but Sharon Peterson said, let me ask stupid questions so I can ask great questions.
Absolutely, yeah.
You've got to practice.
Practice makes perfect, right?
Absolutely. And I have to say that during this journey and becoming a coach, you get better at asking questions because you have to ask lots of questions.
Oh, you do. And you get better at understanding why you're asking that question, where that question's coming from, and what it will do to help the person that you're asking that question to. And that's what I love about coaching.
Yeah. Absolutely. So if we ask you questions, so it's just about stretching you, get you to look at your things maybe in a slightly different perspective, get you to go deeper and that you perhaps had, rather than just saying, hey, yeah, it was good. It's like, hey, well, what was good about it? So you might get us asking a little bit, so you go a little bit deeper into your experience about what it is that is good. What resonates well with you or looked right to you. However it is interpreting your world.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But on that note, goodbye from me.
Bye from here in Tasmania. Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you, Kelly. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Oh.